So good morning. My name is Rabbi Daniel Betzel, and it's my honor to be here with you today. And we come together to give witness to our belief that in times of sadness, there is room for joy. And in times of darkness, there will always be light. May we hold fast to the conviction that what we do with our lives matters, and that a caring world is possible after all. And we know that our connections with other people, it gives our lives meaning. And we are joined to the people that we love by bonds of affection and mutual need. And we know that love transcends nature, weaving together in the living and the dead, the loving embrace of meaningful memory. There's an ancient Hebrew proverb that tells us not to say not in grief, he is no more, but to live in thankfulness that he was. Thankful to have had Bill in our lives. We remember him as father, grandfather, great-grandfather, teacher, mentor, and friend. Our lives change in an instant when we lose someone that we care about. Everything is different, except the emotional bond, the love, and the affection. It never goes away. The sweet mystery of life is that these bonds survive and they take refuge in our hearts, and they weave themselves into the fabric of our lives. I'd like to begin with a poem, We Remember Bill. At the end of each line, when I pause, please respond, we remember Bill, we remember Dad, we remember Grandpa. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember Bill. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember Bill. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember Bill. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the sun, we remember Bill. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, we remember Bill. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember Bill. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember Bill. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember Bill. When we have joys that we yearn to share, we remember Bill. When we teach what we know and encourage someone who is just starting out, we remember Bill. When we choose people over relationships, and when we choose people and relationships over possessions and titles, we remember Bill. When we stay active and curious and engaged with others, we remember Bill. When we celebrate a birthday with laughter, song, and maybe even a cup of Diet Pepsi, we remember Bill. So long as we live, Bill too shall live, for Bill is now a part of us, and we remember Bill. Psalm 23 comforts us during times of loss. The words of this psalm give us the courage to move forward, and the psalm reminds us that when we go through difficult times, we are not alone. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsa. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters and restores my soul. Adonai leads me in the right paths for the sake of his name. And even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, and you have anointed my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. V'shafti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamim, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. Psalm 121, a song of ascents. Shir la'ma'alot. Esa enai el ha'herim. I turn my eyes to the mountains and ask, from where will come my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. The guardian of Israel will not sleep. See, the guardian of Israel neither sleeps nor slumbers. Adonai is your guardian. Adonai is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. Adonai yishma tzeetecha uvoecha, me'ata ve'ad olam. Adonai will guard your going and coming, now and forever. Today we gather to remember and honor the life of William Bill Stein, husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, teacher, musician, mentor, and friend. A man whose life was defined not by status or possessions, but by commitment to people, to music, and to service. Bill was born in Cleveland, Ohio, on June 12, 1950, to Erwin and Mary Stein. He was technically an only child, but that hardly describes his upbringing. His mother was an identical twin, and both sisters married men named Stein, and for a time the two families lived in the same house. Bill grew up alongside Jerry and Doris, cousins who felt more like siblings. From early on, he was surrounded by community and connection, and that pattern stayed with him for the rest of his life. Bill was preceded in death by his beloved wife, Mary Ellen. Together, they built a life centered on hospitality, education, and shared purpose. They opened their home to numerous foreign exchange students over the years. One of those students, Michael Gerber from Germany, became especially close to them. Bill and Mary Ellen traveled to Germany to visit Michael and his family, and the two families formed a lasting friendship. Today, Michael's son and Bill's grandson, Andrew, remain in contact, a reminder that the relationships Bill nurtured continued into the next generation. Bill is survived by his son, David, and his daughter, Nancy, and daughter-in-law, Carolyn, and son-in-law, Don. His grandchildren, Andrew and Elizabeth, and Andrew's wife, Michelle, and his 4 great-grandchildren, Zachary, Hannah, Abigail, and Eleanor. Bill was proud of his family, deeply proud, and he took great joy in watching them grow and thrive. He believed in working hard and staying engaged. He told David once, half-jokingly, that if he had known he would live so long, he would have taught full-time much, much longer. But the truth is, he never really stopped teaching. After retiring in 1988 as band director at Shawnee High School, he continued teaching clarinet at Ohio Northern University. He was hired at the age of 75 and taught there for several years. Over the course of his career, he influenced generations of students. Many went on to successful careers in music, education, and other professional fields. Some earned PhDs and other advanced degrees. Many of them wrote back to Bill years later to express their gratitude for the impact he had on the trajectory of their personal and professional lives. These letters meant everything to Bill. He asked David to even frame them. They were among his most treasured possessions, not because they were awards, but because they reflected relationships and impact. And Bill was a gifted teacher. He had a particular talent for breaking down complex rhythms and counting patterns in ways students could truly understand. Years later, a former student who herself became a band director called Bill to tell him she still uses his teaching techniques. Not the ones she learned in music school, but his. That kind of feedback says more about a teacher, about a person, than any resume could. Music was central to Bill's life. He earned both his bachelor's and master's from the Ohio State University, and he was a proud member of the Ohio State University Marching Band, the best band in the land, where he played alto horn. He was also an accomplished clarinetist and percussionist. He loved all types of music, especially classical music. He encouraged his students to explore all styles and genres. He believed music, like life, should be expansive. His clarinet, his beloved instrument, is now in the guardianship of his grandson, Andrew, who is also a band director, and it carries forward his legacy. He also owned a very special orchestral clarinet, which he donated to Ohio Northern's music program. Even in retirement, he was still investing in the future of music education. And Bill was far more active than just in the classroom. He was involved in Rotary, the Noon Optimist Club, a founding member of the Lima Youth Orchestra. He remained active in those organizations into his 90s. He believed strongly that you are never too old to contribute. He also had simple joys. He loved bridge, and anyone who has tried to learn bridge knows it is a demanding and strategic game. He played until just a few years ago. He also loved reading, especially novels by Clive Cussler. He was a lifelong Cleveland baseball fan. When the team struggled, he would simply turn off the TV and say, "Oh well," with a laugh. That was Bill, steady, optimistic, and just naturally tuned to be happy. Even in his later years at Primrose, when he was confined to a wheelchair, he remained very socially engaged. If other residents were not available to talk, he would roll himself to the nursing station just to visit. He enjoyed conversations, and he so valued connection. Bill was also a foundational member of Temple Beth Israel, Shaarei Tzedek. He served as a board member, a teacher, and a beloved shofar blower. He mentored others, including our current shofar blower, who shared with me last Rosh Hashanah that Bill recruited him and trained him. Bill's influence continues to shape and impact our community. Everyone knows that Bill loved Diet Pepsi. Last year, when we celebrated Shabbat at Primrose in honor of his birthday, we placed Diet Pepsi in the Kiddush cup. After the blessing, I handed it to him. He took a sip, and that look on his face said everything: joy, amusement, and gratitude. He also wrote his own playful version of Happy Birthday that the family would sing and play on birthdays, complete with different stylistic variations. There was a klezmer version, a British version, and more. David shared with me that it was corny, but very beloved. And David shared something else with me that feels so profound and meaningful. He said his dad was not especially photogenic, but there is one photograph, a symphony photograph, that is certainly not the case. It's a striking image that captures Bill in his element and reveals his true essence. The photographer who took Bill's symphony photo loved it so much that he had it enlarged to life-size and displayed it, this life-size version of the photograph, in his shop for many years. Eventually, Bill's wife purchased the photo and brought it home. And the photo is on display. So those of you who have seen the photo, it reflects something true about Bill. When he was immersed in music, when he was doing what he loved, when he was connecting with other people, you saw his true essence, and he truly shone. Bill's life reminds us that significance is not always loud. It is often steady, consistent, and faithful. He taught his children the importance of continuing to work at what you love, of staying useful, of serving others, and of valuing relationship over possessions. In our tradition from the Torah, we read, Torah tzifilanu Moshe, Moresha Akira Yaakov. The Torah that Moses, our teacher, taught, that is our inheritance. What we pass down in Judaism is not property. It's teaching, it's wisdom, it's example, it's relationship. And Bill understood this deeply. His inheritance is not measured in things, but in students who teach the way he taught, in musicians who play with confidence because he once believed in them, in family members who carry forward his steadiness in their service to others, and in a grateful congregation that still feels his influence. This is Bill's Marasha, his inheritance, his teaching that he has gifted to all of us. May his memory be a blessing to his family, to his students, to our congregation, and to all who were fortunate enough to have known him. And we say together, Amen. El Male Rachamim is a prayer which translates to God filled with compassion. It speaks of how the soul, having sojourned in the physical world, is now restored to the everlasting source of life, to the continuum of being, reality, and holy presence. If you're able, please rise for the chanting of the El Male Rachamim. El Male Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShchina, Im Kedoshim Utorim, Kezohar Harikia Mazirim, Et Nishmat William Ben Elohim, Shehalach La'alamo, Ba'al Harachamim, Tastirehu Beseter Kanafei Leolamim, Be'etzchor HaChaim Et Mashmato, Adonai Hu Nachlato, V'tanuach Bashalom Al Mishkavo, V'nomar Amen. God, full of compassion, dwelling on high, grant perfect rest beneath the shelter of your Shekhinah, of your presence, among the holy and the pure, whose radiance shines like the heavens to the soul of Bill Stein, child of Elohim, who has gone to his eternal home. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he find refuge in your wings and peace in the embrace of eternity. Source of mercy and tenderness, remember him with love and draw him close to you forever. May his memory be a blessing, and may his soul rest in peace. V'nomar, and we say, Amen. Adonai natan, Adonai lekach, Yehei Shem Adonai mevarach. God, you have given, and God, you have taken away. Blessed be the name of God. May the memory of Bill be a blessing as we affirm that his essence will never leave our hearts and souls. So this will conclude the chapel portion of the service. We'll continue with the service at the gravesite of Shaarei Tzedek Cemetery on Spencerville Road. You are warmly invited to join us as we accompany Bill to his final resting place, honoring him with our presence and our love.